Hey, what's up, you guys? It's Paul from Team APS. So today I'm going to be showing my Gaia the Fierce Knight deck profile. It's a deck that I've been playing for a little while now. It's a lot of fun. Very easy to build budget deck that just got like more support in Rise of the Duelist. Obviously, this deck isn't going to be beating any meta decks anytime soon. You could even say it's trash, but you knew that when you clicked the profile, so it's more fun than you might think, and I built it on a budget, so it's something that anybody could really play if they wanted to. Alright, so starting off, we've got one of the retrained Gaias. This is the Magical Knight. He's always treated as a Gaia the Fierce Knight card, which is pretty important for searching. You can summon him if you don't have any monsters, or if your opponent has a monster with 2300 or more attack. When it's normal or special summoned, you get to summon a level 5 dragon monster from your hand or grave in defense. Kind of wish this was a special summon, but it's not, so that's usually how your turn's going to go, and it pairs really well with Curse of Dragon, the Cursed Dragon. Great naming, Konami. So if this thing gets normal or special summoned, ideally by this thing's effect, you'll be able to add a spell or trap from your deck to your hand that lists Gaia the Dragon Champion. This actually means that it can't search Gateway to Chaos, but it can search nearly everything else in your deck. So when it goes to the grave, you actually can target one of your Gaia the Dragon Champions, which both of your fusions count as, and negate the effects of face-up monsters that your opponent controls that have less than or equal attack to that Gaia for the rest of the turn. Your Gaias are usually going to be 26 or 5200, so this is very good for just clearing your opponent's effects off for the rest of the turn. It can be a little bricky, both of them kind of can, but they work really well together and they let you both make plays and also like kind of recur turn over turn because this can summon it from the grave and then searches another card. Anyways, Artillery Catapult Turtle. So this is a good starter card. You contribute a monster, usually it's going to be itself, and then summon a Gaia the Fierce Knight monster or a level 5 dragon monster from your deck. The only problem with this is that since it's not actually a Gaia card, you can't use it really with the field spell. You can't really use it with fusions or anything. So distributing itself is the best way for it to get any value for you. Gaia the Fierce Knight Origin. So this one is... I'm only running one. It's one of the newer monsters. It can be treated as 2 tributes, which doesn't really matter, but you can summon it from your hand by sending a level 5 or higher dragon from your hand to the grave. That's usually, of course, going to be this. And during the battle phase, you can banish it to target a monster in the field and make its attack become its original attack. That's pretty good for Gaia because sometimes Gaia will have 0 attack, which we'll get into that thing's effect a little bit later. I don't run many of this because it's really not useful for much else, and you'll usually be normal summoning your Gaia the Magical Knight instead. Also, Curse of Dragonfire. So when it gets summoned, you can pop a field spell. Your own field spells don't get any effects from their pop, so it can just be useful for maybe dealing with certain other decks. Maybe you can pop like Union Hanger or something like that, for instance. And then you can fusion summon with its effect, so you don't actually need a spell to do it. And that can be pretty handy. It's just it and something else that's in the field. You fuse. It's nice. Triple Ash Blossom. This is, if you want to run hand traps, you can. If you don't, you could replace this with something else. But it's just a great all-around hand trap, and since we have sort of limited space, it's probably just the best one. Okay, for the spells, we've got Triple Gateway to Chaos. This is your Rhoda for the deck. It is really more Blackluster Soldier support, but it can get a Gaia the Fierce Knight monster, so that's obviously very handy. Then we have Galloping Gaia, which is the other field spell. Kind of sucks these are both field spells. It's like I think they could have just made this a continuous spell, or at least given it an effect when it's destroyed so it could work with Curse of Dragonfire. But either way, when it's in the field and Gaia the Dragon Champion's in the field, your opponent can't use anything in the battle phase, which is nice. And you can reveal a Gaia card to search a level 5 dragon, or you can reveal a dragon to search a Gaia card. Great. It's a useful thing. It's a plus. I've got Terraforming and Set Rotation. Cool part about Set Rotation is if you use Set Rotation, you can give yourself Galloping Gaia and give your opponent Gateway to Chaos, and they'll never be able to activate it if they don't actually have a Blackluster Soldier or Gaia card to search from their deck because it's a mandatory search. So it'll stay set to their field and they'll never be able to use field spells. That's really nice. So this is just all for consistency. Then we have our fusion spell itself, Spiral Fusion. Now this works pretty much like a polymerization. It uses your hand and your field, but if you summon Gaia the Dragon Champion, it will gain 2600 attack and it'll be able to make 2 attacks during each battle phase. That's important because we'll get to the fusion monster a bit later, but it having more attack allows it to use its effect more, and because it can make multiple attacks, that kind of works all in tandem as well. Then we've got Ultra Polymerization. So this is a polymerization most people haven't seen. You pay 2k, you fusion summon with monsters only on your field, doesn't get to use your hand. Your opponent, actually neither of you, can respond to its effect, so that kind of gives it a little bit of protection. and you can banish it from your graveyard to target the fusion monster that you summoned with this, and then summon its materials back from the grave. They can't attack, their effects are negated, but that's not really important. The fun play to do is you use Ultra Poly to make one fusion monster, and then you bring them back and you Spiral Fusion on the monsters again to make your other fusion monster, because there's 2 Gaia the Dragon Champion fusions that you'll be using. And it's a nice little combo that kind of is easy on card economy. Spiral Spear Strike. So if you've got a Gaia the Fierce Knight or whatever, or a Dragon Champion, and it attacks a defense position monster, it does piercing, and also you get to draw 2 cards and discard a card. Because Spiral Fusion actually allows you to get multiple attacks in, this can be great for dealing a lot of damage and just getting free cards. The cards are nice, but typically once you're attacking, you're kind of planning on winning that turn ideally. So, if you don't manage to win, then the card economy is nice. Triple Pot of Extravagance, which I suppose is budget now, depending on what your definition of budget is, but this is really helpful. You're really only concerned with your fusion monster, so everything else in your extra deck is fair game. Banish it, get free draws. Trust me, this deck needs it. Called by the Grave, this is to stop hand traps. You really don't want certain cards like your field spells and stuff to be getting ashed, because sometimes you really need those cards, so that's very important. Twin Twisters, since this is a deck where you really want to go second, this is good for clearing out Backrow. If you're balling, you can run Lightning Storm or something instead, but we're being cheap today. Book of Eclipse, this is a fun little tech that I've been trying out. It basically just changes all of the face-up monsters in the field to face-down defense positions, so you'd kind of want to start your turn with this. Flip all your opponent's stuff down, and then since it's in defense, you're going to be able to like pierce and attack it all, and their effects aren't as big of a concern to you as long as you bait out a negation, and then you could use this. This is fun. And then finally, Monster Reborn. Not running any traps. I was running some traps before. You could throw in, honestly, whatever trap cards you want. It's just a fun deck, so no need to overthink it. And then finally, the fusions. So this is the new guy. It's Gaia, the Magical Knight of Dragons. It's treated as Gaia, the Dragon Champion, and the more important thing is that during the main phase, it's got a quick effect, so you can use it on either player's turn. You can actually have him lose 2600 attack and then pop a card in the field. So it's actually a pretty nice disruption removal thing, but he's 2600 attack, so you wouldn't want to do that, right? Well, thankfully, since you're using Spiral Fusion to fusion summon him, or at least that's, the plan, it will give him 2600 more attack. Also, when he destroys a monster by battle, he'll gain 2600 attack. So you want him to come out at 5200, swing on something, and it'll go up to 7800, and then you can swing on another thing, and it goes up even higher, and then you can start using its effect on the following turn, and it's just a fun time. So it's really good, especially when you add in all the piercing and the drawing and everything else. Next, we've got Sky Galloping Gaia. I'm just proxying these 2 for it, but these should basically just be 2 more copies of him. This guy's not as handy for your win condition, but basically when you summon it, you're able to search for Spear Strike, Spiral Spear Strike, so that's obviously very helpful to have, and it can change an opponent's monster's battle position whenever you declare an attack, so could be helpful. I like to make this with Ultra Polymerization and then use effect and get them back and make this. So now you have all of your tools in one place. It's very convenient. And the rest of your extra doesn't matter, so I just kind of fill it with proxies. It's just stuff for extravagance. Obviously, you could throw in a number of link monsters, and you'd be very well advised to do so, but yeah, I wasn't able to get multiple copies of this, sadly. So this one's actually it's got a bit of a price tag. It's maybe $10, and I just didn't feel like I wanted to buy one. I can only find one, so yeah. But that is the Gaia the Fierce Knight deck. I actually would say it's a lot of fun. It's something that you may want to build. It doesn't cost a whole lot. It's a good time if you're just playing with some friends. Hopefully you liked the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Of course, leave a comment with what you think. Check out this awesome new Dogmatica playmat on Inked Gaming if you want to pick it up. It's really cool. It's going to be it. I'll see you guys in the next one. Pass turn.